Joining us now, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich is back with us. Okay, it's great to have you on. Just looking back over 2021, you know, the border crisis really picked up speed in January when the president first sat down. One of the first things he did was stop Trump's border policies like Remain in Mexico and the border wall. And now we have 2 million illegal border crossers, generational highs. We haven't seen this in decades.
Yeah, it really is a generational high, as you said, Liz. And when you think about it, in January, when President Biden took office, you know, the economy was booming, gas prices were falling, and we were energy independent, and the border was secure. And now, in less than a year, under our Christmas tree this year, we have high inflation, rising gas prices. We're now no longer energy independent, and a record surge at our border. And it's not just the people crossing illegally, it's the record amount of fentanyl. Your previous guests were just talking about the fact that just this year in Arizona, more than 9 million fentanyl pills were seized. That's enough fentanyl pills to kill every single person in the state. So this will affect not only Arizona, it's going to affect the entire country when we have a cost not only in human lives, but a social cost associated with rising crime levels and more people becoming addicted and people's sons and daughters dying of overdoses.
We've got drug gangs in practically every major U.S. city. And we've got former top ICE official Tom Homan saying politicians and government officials who supported defunding the police in sanctuary cities, they're off the wall to suddenly complain about crime in their districts when you put together what you just said, right, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Was it William Shakespeare that wrote that the fault, dear Brutus, lies not in the stars but within ourselves? And so this was a mess created by Democratic politicians in Democratic cities. And think about this, Liz, for a second. You have this Build Back Better. The Democrats want to fund everything. They want to pay for green this, green that. They want to spend a bunch of money we don't have on everything but police officers and prosecutors. So they don't care about our public safety, but what they want to do is make people dependent on Washington, D.C. And that really, frankly, is a radical notion. And quite frankly, the rule of law is what made this country great. And we need to get back to that fundamental understanding that the laws have consequences.
Well, the White House, through the DOJ, is now sending money for local police officers. So that's happening right now. But what Tom Homan is saying is 50% of criminal illegal aliens who are arrested and then let go, that they're going to reoffend within the first year. As many as 75% will reoffend within the first 5 years. So why would the local criminal justice system refuse to let the federal ICE officers enforce the law and prevent other people from becoming victims?
Well, I think that depending, maybe if you're in San Francisco or the Socialist Republic of California, you have some of those issues going on. But I think most law enforcement wants to cooperate with ICE. Part of the big problem, and as you know, Liz, we have a lawsuit against the Biden administration because they're refusing to pick up and deport people with deportation orders. So you literally have people being released from local custody, jails, from prisons that have been convicted and charged with serious crimes like rape, murder, arson, that ICE is refusing to pick up and deport. So the Biden administration is essentially sowing the seeds of the next crime wave by not only letting the cartels seize control of our border, but now not punishing and deporting people that have been charged or convicted of crimes. And don't forget, there was things like Operation Streamline. No, Operation Streamline in the past, where the Department of Justice aggressively did a surge with prosecutors and judges, and they went and they made sure people that entered the country illegally were prosecuted, and that served as a deterrent from people coming into the country. So the Biden administration, as we've talked about, has decriminalized and now incentivized people coming here illegally, and that's why the cartels have seized control of the border, and a record amount of fentanyl and meth is flooding into our country.
Well, Border Patrol and law enforcement authorities and Tom Homan have said an illegal criminal alien released from jail will most likely reoffend in the same community and neighborhoods where they live. You see that with MS-13 gang members. It's just unclear how releasing a child predator or someone accused of assault or murder is keeping the community safe when these local officials have, sworn an oath to protect their communities. Final word.
It's not, Liz. And ultimately, this problem at our southern border will not be solved until Joe Biden and Kamala Harris care more about tax-paying Americans than they do about Central Americans. And so we need to make sure that we have our priorities straight as a country.
Attorney General Mark
Brnovich,
thanks for joining us. It's good to see you.